Hello and welcome to one and all. In today's class, I am uploading the next answer, the law of variable proportions. So this is from Unit 4. This is also one of the very frequently asked questions in the board exam. Very important question. So LAQ 4, critically examine the law of variable proportions, the 10 marks question. Okay. So this is the answer, and before I explain the answer, let me explain to you briefly about the law of variable proportions. Okay. So now first you should know what is the meaning of production. So the production means conversion of raw materials into finished products. Conversion of raw materials into finished products. So how the raw materials are converted into finished products with the help of, there is something called as the factors of production. So they are called as the agents of production. So anything that helps in the production is known as the factors of production. So broadly, these factors of production are be divided into 4 types, that is land, labor, capital and organization. Sometimes the technology is also used. Technology, you can use it separately or you can include it in the organization. Okay, so that means what? The land, labor, capital and organization along with technology help in the conversion of raw materials into finished products. Okay, now the finished products, they are called as the whatever the products that are produced with the help of these factors of production, they are called as the finished products. They are called as the output. And the factors that help in the production, that is the factors of production. So the factors of production, that is called as the input. Okay, so there is a, now you can see that there is a relation between inputs and output. So how much quantity of inputs, how much efficient the inputs are, accordingly the output will also increase. If the quantity of inputs increases, the quantity of output will also increase. If the inputs are efficient, if the factors of production are efficient, the quality of output turned out will also be efficient. So this relationship between the input and output is known as the production function. Okay, so now what is the meaning of production function? So the production function is the physical or the technical relation between input and output. So you can include in a given state of technology, in a given state of technology and in a given period of time. Why we are saying given state of technology and period of time? Because if the technology changes, then the output turned out will also change. The time period also will change. The amount of inputs you can vary will change according to the time. So with the given state of technology, with whatever the technology you are having, with the given time period, how much output the producer is producing with the help of given set of inputs, that is what is known as the production function. So this is production function is expressed in the form of a formula. Q is equal to F of N, that is land, L, that is labor, K, that is capital, O, that is organizer that or the producer, and T is the level of technology. Okay, so these are all the inputs or factors. Okay, and Q is the output. So if the producer wants to increase the output, what he can do, he can increase all these except the organizer, he can increase, change everything. Okay, but it is difficult for the producer to change all the inputs according to the time period. If the short period, it is not possible for the producer to change all the inputs. So in the long period, he can change all the factors of production. So in the short period, so based on the time period, you have two types of production function. So one is the short run production function. So short run production function, in the sense, in the short run, the producer, it is not possible to for the producer to change all the factors, especially land. He cannot change capital, machinery. It takes a huge amount of investment, technology, all those things he cannot change. At the most, what he can do, he can increase the quantity of raw materials, he can increase the number of laborers. So only one or two factors can be changed in the short run if the producer wants to increase the output. So that is the short run production function. So in the short run, the production can be increased only by increasing one or two inputs. So what are the one or two inputs? Maybe labor he can increase, and raw material, the quantity of raw materials the producer can increase. Okay, so by increasing only one or two inputs, while the other factors constant, while the other factors remain constant, he cannot change all those other factors. So this short run, under those circumstances, how the producer gets the equilibrium point. So that short run production function is explained through the law, is explained through the law of variable proportions. Okay, but whereas in the long run, so the long run production function, so long run production function in the sense that the producer can change all factors of production, isn't it? So if he wants to increase the output, he can change the technology, he can use how much amount of machinery he wants. So everything can be changed in the long run. So he can change all the factors of production. So that long run production function is explained through another law, law of returns to scale. Now what is this law of variable proportions and the law of returns to scale? What these laws are trying to explain, just like the law of diminishing marginal utility, it's trying to explain even the indifference curve analysis and all, they're all trying to explain the equilibrium position of the consumer. So what do we mean by equilibrium position of the consumer? That is how the consumer attains the maximum satisfaction position given his limited money income and his innumerable wants. In the same way, both the law of variable proportions and the law of returns to scale tries to explain the equilibrium position of the producer, that is at which point of time the producer will get the maximum profit and he has to stop the production. So that is explained through the both these laws, law of variable proportions and the law of returns to scale. The law of variable proportions explains in the short run at which point of time, at which stage of production the producer has to stop the production so that he will get that maximum profit. The law of returns to scale explains at which point of time the producer has to stop the production in the long run when he can change all the factors of production. At which point, at which stage he will get that maximum profit. Even in the long run, even if he can change all the factors of production also, if he keeps on expanding, the producer will incur losses. Okay, so both in the short run as well as in the long run, at which stage the producer will get that maximum profit so that he has to stop the production not to incur losses. So though that is explained through these laws, the law of variable proportions and the law of returns to scale. Now remember that law of variable proportions is the short run production function. Now what is the production function? The physical or the technical relation between input and output. Okay, now let us move on to what is this law of variable proportions. Okay, so this is the question. Critically examine the law of variable proportions. So the first, you already know what should be the format of writing the answer. So the first is introduction. So the law of variable proportions has been developed by David Ricardo and Alfred Marshall in the 19th century. So these two economists, they belong to the 19th century. So they developed the law of variable proportions, and later it was developed by Stigler, Benham and Paul A. Samuelson. So this law explains the input-output relationship in the short run. That's what I just explained to you. It is also called as the law of diminishing returns. Now why this law is being called as the law of diminishing returns? See here, all this David Ricardo, Marshall, so they all connected the explained in agriculture, connected this law in agriculture. That is, if a farmer wants to increase the output by increasing only the labor, he cannot change the land, he cannot increase the quantity of land, and only what he can change, he cannot change the machinery also, he can change only the labor. So and seeds, fertilizers, all those things, raw materials, he can change. So under those conditions, if the farmer wants to increase the cultivation in agriculture, then if by increasing only labor and raw materials, so then first stage the farmer will come across increasing returns. That means the labor or the raw materials will give him more amount of output. The land will yield more amount of output. So in the first stage, the farmer will get increasing returns. And then if he still keeps on increasing the amount of amount of labor force, second stage he will come across decreasing returns. And still if he keeps on increasing the labor force, the farmer will come across negative returns. Okay, so earlier this law was related only to agriculture, and at that time it was, this law was, the original name of the law was called as the law of diminishing returns. And now the later the other economists, especially Benham, Stigler and all, they etc. So Paul Samuelson, they all found out that this law is not operating not only in agriculture, it is found to be operating in industries also. So even in industries also, if the producer keeps on increasing only one or two factors, keeping the other factors constant, the producer will come across the same three stages: increasing returns, decreasing returns and negative returns. So they renamed the law as the law of variable proportions. Okay, so the original name of the law was the law of diminishing returns by Marshall, David Ricardo and all, when they when they propounded this law in connection with agriculture. But then later on, the other economists like Benham, Stigler and all, they found that this situation was happening even in industries. So they renamed the law from law of diminishing returns to law of variable proportions. Okay, so this is the introduction. Okay, so now the statement of the law. So what does the law say? Just like the law of diminishing marginal utility, so this law states that if a farmer or producer increases his output by increasing only one input, that is labor, for the sake of convenience I have taken only one input, labor, and keeping other inputs constant, that is capital and land, the output initially increases but later start decreasing. This is what the law is trying to prove through with the help of an illustration. Okay. Now the next definition. So definition, I repeat again, word by word, it has to be the same. So either you can give the definition given by Marshall or Stigler, or if you are able to remember both the definitions, you can give both the definitions in the answer. So here let us check the Stigler's definition. So what is the definition? Starting with the inverted commas. As equal increments of one input are added, the inputs of other productive services being held constant. The equal increments means what? Addition. So addition of one input is added while the other productive services, so the other factors are being held constant. Beyond a certain point, the resulting increments of product, the resulting addition to the product will decrease, that is the marginal product will diminish. So eventually the marginal product will diminish. That is what the producer will come across the negative returns. Okay, so that is what the definition says. Now coming to the assumptions of the law. So the law operates only in short run, because only in short run one or two factors are variable. All the other factors will remain constant, because in the long run every factor is variable. So this law will operate only in the short run, where the producer has to keep remaining factors constant. Then the second one, the techniques of production remain constant. It is not possible to change the techniques of production in the short run. Third assumption, only factor labor is variable, other factors are constant. Fourth assumption, all units of labor are homogeneous. So if the farmer this is just for the sake of convenience again, if the farmer keeps on applying the labor force in the piece of land, it is assumed that the second laborer is as efficient as the first laborer. The third laborer is as efficient, the same efficiency the third laborer is having as the first two laborers. Okay, so for the sake of convenience, all the laborers are having the equal efficiency. So that's a labor or homogeneous. Then fifth assumption, it is possible to use various amounts of a variable factor with fixed factors of production. Okay, so that means land is fixed factor. The farmer is able to keep, either he can use one, initially he will add one laborer, then later he is adding two laborers, then later on he is adding four laborers. So like that, varying amounts of laborers he can add with the fixed factor, that is the land. Then the sixth one, the product is measured in physical units, that is how much output is produced. So and so quintals of paddy, so and so quintals of wheat. So it is measured in physical quantities, not in monetary concept. Monetary concept is measured through cost and revenue. Okay, here we are measuring in terms of physical units. Okay, so these are all the assumptions of the law on which the law is based. So now moving on to the explanation of the law. The law can be explained with the help of an example, as usual in the form of a table and diagram. So we are taking an example. Suppose a farmer has 10 acres of land and he wants to increase the output only by increasing the units of labor. How the total, average and marginal product changes can be explained in the form of a table. Okay, so now the table, the first column represents the units of labor. Since land is fixed, we are not taking that into, we are not mentioning it in the table. So first column represents units of labor, second column represents total product, third column represents average product, and fourth column represents marginal product, and the fifth column represents what are all the stages the farmer is coming across. Okay, now initially we are starting with 0. So when the none of the laborers are employed with a piece of land, there will not be any output, isn't it? The land cannot do anything on its own. You need a labor to produce a certain amount of output, isn't it? So initially when no laborers are employed in a piece of land, then the output will also become 0. So that's why when the units of labor is 0, the total product, average product, everything will become 0. Okay, now the farmer is employing one laborer. So with the one laborer is able to produce 8 units of output. Okay, now average product will also be equal to 8 and the marginal product will also be equal to 8, because this is the first laborer. and then the farmer is employing another laborer. So the second laborer is employed. So when 2 laborers are employed, the total product is increasing to 20. Okay, so that means for both the first laborer and the second laborer together, along with the piece of land, they both are able to produce 20 units of output. Then the average product is becoming 10, and the marginal is the additional. So what is the meaning of before I proceed, just reminding you what is the meaning of total product, average product and marginal product. So what is the total product? Total product TP is the total output produced by all the factors combined. All the 2 laborers, how much output they are producing along with land. All the 8 laborers employed, how much output they are producing along with that piece of 10 acres of land. So that is the meaning of total product. The average product is the product per laborer. So how do you arrive at the average product? The total product divided by the number of laborers. So that means what? The 2 laborers are employed. If the total product happens to be 20, so 20 divided by 2, 10. Okay, so that is total product divided by number of laborers. That is the average product. And the marginal product, just like marginal utility, additional output produced by the additional laborer. The same formula. Instead of MUN, you are writing MPN. So MPN is equal to TPN minus TPN minus 1, or MP is equal to delta TP divided by delta L. That is the change in total product divided by change in number of laborers. Okay. So when the 2 laborers are employed, so the total product is 20. So 20 minus 8, you are getting 12. So when the 3 laborers are employed, all the 3 laborers together, they are able to produce 36 units of output. So 36 divided by 3, the average output is happening to be 12, and the marginal 36 minus 20, so you are getting 16. So like that, when the 4th laborer is employed, all the 4 laborers, they are able to produce 48 units of output. Average product happens to be 48 divided by 4, 12. So you can see that average product is same, and average product reaches the maximum. So there are, and marginal product 48 minus 36, 12, you can see it is decreasing. So that means what? So when the first 3 laborers are employed, the marginal product initially it was 8, and then it is increasing to 12, and later still it is increasing to 16. This is up to 3 laborers. So that's why I have underlined here. So when you are writing the table, mark these points. So when this is the 3rd laborer, so up to 3 laborers, the marginal product is becoming maximum with the employment of 3rd laborer. So 16. So up to 3 laborers, the producer is getting the first stage, that is the increasing. The producer is coming across the first stage, that is increasing returns. That is the returns from the laborers are more than the cost the farmer is incurring to employ the labor force. That is the meaning of returns. What is the meaning of increasing returns? The revenue is more than cost. So the returns from the 3 laborers, the cultivation from the 3 laborers, more than the cost of employing the 3 laborers to the farmer. That is the meaning of increasing returns. So initially up to 3 laborers, the farmer is coming across the increasing return, that is stage 1. So now still the farmer is continuing to employ the labor force because he is getting the increasing returns. So still he is continuing the labor force with the same piece of land. So now the 4th laborer is employed. So all the 4 laborers, they are able to produce totally 48 units of output. So what is the average product now? Average product is remaining constant. 48 divided by 4, again it becomes 12, and the marginal product 48 minus 36, the marginal product also becomes 12. So in the 3rd laborer, the additional output happens to be 16, but 4th laborer, the additional output starts decreasing. So it was only, it is 12 instead of 16. Okay, so it is not 16, it is not more than 16, it happens to be lesser than 16, so it becomes 12. So now what is happening, you can find out one more thing here. Both the average product and marginal product, they both are equal at this point, isn't it? So, and you can also see that at this point, average product is maximum. So average product will always be equal to marginal product at its maximum point. So that is the up to 4th laborer. So once it reaches the maximum, what does it indicate? they will start decreasing. Once you reach the peak, you have to start declining, isn't it? So when the fifth laborer is employed, the total output of all the 5 laborers increases to 55. So the average product, you can see that it has declined to 11. 55 divided by 5, it has decreased to 11, and the marginal product 55 minus 48, 7. So like that, 6th laborer, 7th laborer also starts decreasing, and when the 7th laborer is employed, the total product remains constant at 60. 6th laborer also, the total product is 60. 7th laborer is also, the total product happens to be 60, and the average product still further declines 10 and 8.6, and you can see that when the 7th laborer is employed, the marginal product happens to be 0. 60 minus 60, 0. So that is when the total product is maximum. So here total product is equal to maximum, and the marginal product is becoming 0. So when the total product is maximum, marginal product will become 0. So from 4th laborer to 7th laborer or 6th laborer, the producer is coming across the second stage, that is the returns start decreasing, that is the decreasing returns. Okay. Now still if the farmer employs additional laborer, so 8th laborer, then the total product itself starts declining to 56, and average product continues to decline, and the marginal product will become negative. So when the total product decreases, the marginal product will become negative. Okay. So this is the table. This is just a hypothetical table. Okay. So you can give any your own numericals, but it is better you memorize this table. So any one column you try to remember. So if you remember the anyway units of labor 0 to 8. If you remember the total product, then the remaining all the average product and marginal product and all automatically you can get, because the average product is nothing but you have to divide the total product divided by the number of laborers. So 8 divided by 1, 20 divided by 2, 36 divided by 3, you will get the average product. And marginal product, just you have to keep on subtracting. 20 minus 8, 36 minus 20, 48 minus 36. You just have to keep on subtracting the previous one from the current total product. Then you will get the marginal product. So till the marginal product is maximum, stage 1, that is the increasing returns. From the point where the marginal product starts decreasing up to 0, that is stage 2, decreasing returns, and beyond that it is the negative returns. So these are all the 3 stages the farmer comes across when he keeps on employing the labor force with a fixed piece of land, that is 10 acres of land. This for the example we have taken 10 acres. Okay. So you have to write the table and you have to explain the concepts of total product, average product and marginal product. Okay. So from the above table, it is clear that the farmer is coming across 3 stages of production. So whatever I have explained, that is mentioned in the words. So when the farmer employs up to 3 laborers, the total product is increasing at an increasing rate. Okay. That's why the marginal product is increasing. Second point, marginal product MP increases and reaches the maximum, isn't it? Marginal product reaches the maximum at 16, and average product is increasing, and in this stage you can see that the total product is greater than marginal product, which is greater than the average product. And then stage 2, the producer is coming across decreasing returns, or the farmer is coming across the decreasing return. So when the farmer employs the 4th laborer, what is happening? The TP starts increasing at a decreasing rate. So that's why the marginal product starts decreasing and reaches the maximum at 7th laborer. MP starts declining and reaches 0. Just now we have checked out when TP is maximum. And AP reaches the maximum and coincides with MP and starts declining. And in this stage, TP is greater than AP and MP. So you can see that in the first stage, TP is greater than MP, which is greater than AP. In the second stage, AP will become more than MP. Okay, that happens in the second stage. And stage 3, the farmer still, if he keeps on employing the labor force, he will come across the negative return. That is when the 8th laborer is employed. If the farmer still continues to employ the 8th laborer, then what is happening? The TP itself declines. The marginal product becomes negative and average product continues to decline. Okay, so the same thing you have to represent in the form of a diagram also, that is the total, average and marginal product. Okay, you I mean, you won't be having much time to plot the points and all. So you should practice yourself to draw the diagram in freehand. Okay. Now first draw the x-axis and y-axis. Immediately mention what you are representing in the x-axis and what you are representing in the y-axis. So x-axis, units of variable factor, that is labor, and y-axis the product, that is TP, AP and MP. So now start from the origin because we started from 0. Okay, so just mark this point 100. 100 TP is maximum. So keep so I'll just mark it in the dotted lines for your understanding. So just keep drawing the total product up to point A should be steep. Okay, and at this point, after that it should be slightly slanting. So afterwards it becomes slightly slanting and it reaches the maximum point, and then it should start decreasing. So this is the mark it immediately TP curve. And now the next marginal product, wherever you mark that point A, then that point should be maximum marginal product. Okay, see to it that that point is maximum. And so now just keep increasing, it reaches the maximum and then it should start declining, and from point C connect to the x-axis with the dotted line. So at that point the marginal product should touch the exact point. Okay, that is when the TP is maximum. At this point TP is maximum, isn't it? So at this point the marginal product is equal to 0. So that's what you are indicating. Okay, and then average product. So this is when the marginal product is maximum, that is 3 laborers. So average product is maximum at 4th laborer. So always one step later the average product will become maximum. So start with the from the origin, draw the average product. One step later the marginal average product will be equal to marginal product. So at this point MP is equal to AP when AP is maximum. Okay, and then it will start declining, and beyond Q1 the marginal product becomes negative. Okay, so first again I repeat, start from the origin, mark a point wherever you want that maximum point, and then keep drawing the total product curve till a certain point. It should be very steep, and after just like point A, and then after that it should start increasing at a slightly slanting. Draw the curve is slightly slanting position, reach the top and then make it constant. Okay, so then mark the maximum point C and then should start declining, and wherever that point A you have mark the maximum point for the marginal product, and from point C connect to the x-axis with the dotted lines. So draw the marginal product starting from the origin. So it should reach the maximum at this point where the corresponding to point A, and then connect the straight line the exact point at x-axis. In the marginal product should intersect the x-axis at the exact point where you have connected from point C to the x-axis. Okay, and then it should go beyond the x-axis, indicating marginal product is negative, and then average product will reach the maximum one step later than the marginal product. Okay, so one step later, that is the 4th point where 4th laborer is employed, marginal product is equal to average product. And after that, so wherever the average product is equal to marginal product, draw the dotted line. Now this is stage 1. Okay, the stage 1 increasing returns. So the stage 1 ends when marginal product is equal to average product. Up to that stage the producer is coming across increasing returns. So that is represented by Q. Okay, with the employment of 4 laborers, the employment. So that's what we are representing in Q. And then after that the producer is coming across second stage. So the second stage ends when the total product is maximum and the marginal product is 0. So that's where the second stage ends. That is represented by Q1. That is the 7th laborer is employed. And after that the producer is coming across the third stage of production, that is the negative returns. Okay, so this is how you have to draw the diagram. So now you can see that in the initial stages TP is greater than marginal product, and marginal product is greater than average product. That's what we have represented in stage 1. And you can see that in the second stage, TP is greater than average product, and which is greater than the marginal product. That means what? The marginal product has become lesser than the average product. Okay. And then the same thing we are explaining in the inverse. So from the above diagram, we can infer that when the farmer employs OQ amount of laborers. So this, when the farmer employs OQ amount of laborers, he gets increasing return, that is stage 1. So between Q1, so between this stage Q1 amount of laborers, he gets decreasing returns. Okay, and that is he comes across stage 2. And beyond Q1, still if he keeps employing additional laborers, he will get negative returns, that is stage 3. Okay, so this is all the whatever I have explained words, you are writing it in sentences. Finally, the conclusion. Thus, any rational producer or a firm should not stop production in stage 1. Why should not stop production in stage 1? Because the farmer is still getting the increasing returns. Okay, and average product is positive. Everything, marginal product, average product, everything is positive. Even the total product is increasing. Maybe the rate of increase has decreased, but still total product is still increasing. So he should not stop in stage 1 and continue in stage 3. So he should not go to stage 3 because the additional product has become negative. So if you say the additional product has become negative, that means the producer is incurring losses. So when he should stop the production? Producer or firm will be in equilibrium only when the total production is maximum and the marginal production is 0 at the end of second stage. So that is the stage the producer should stop the production and he will be in the equilibrium position. Okay, so this is what the law of variable proportions explains. Okay, so it is also a message to the producer. It is also the suggestion to the producer how he can avoid losses, how he will be in equilibrium position given his limited amount of time, given his limited amount of factors of production, given his limited amount of capital, how he can get the maximum profit. Okay, so this is also, as I am repeating again, this is also one of the important questions asked in the board exam. So if you find this video useful, please like, share and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have any doubts, please mention it in the comment box. Okay.